I don't think my movies are as good as Bruce's. Bruce's movies were the best. Out of all the martial arts stars we've seen over the years, it's pretty clear that Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee were the biggest names. Everyone still thinks of them as two of the greatest stars in martial arts history. But recently, something surprising happened. Chuck Norris talked about some really shocking things about Bruce Lee. I've been really lucky with my movie career. It all started with Bruce Lee. So what did Chuck Norris say about Bruce after all these years? Come with us as we dive into the world of martial arts. Chuck Norris is a martial arts legend. Carlos Ray, who we know as Chuck Norris, is one of the most famous martial artists and movie stars of his time. He was born on March 10, 1940. Norris had a tough childhood. He wasn't good at sports, was shy, and got average grades. His dad, Ray, worked sometimes as a car mechanic and would often disappear for months to drink. Chuck felt embarrassed about his dad's behavior and their money problems. This made Norris very shy, and he stayed that way throughout his childhood. In 1958, Norris joined the United States Air Force as an air policeman. They sent him to Osan Air Base in South Korea. That's where people started calling him Chuck, and he began learning Tang Soo Do, a martial art. This eventually helped him get black belts and later create his own martial art style called Chen Kuk Do, which means Universal Way. When he came back to the United States, he kept serving as an AP at March Air Force Base in California. The Air Force let Norris go in August 1952, and he was an airman first class. After leaving the military, he tried to become a police officer in Torrance, California. While waiting to hear back about his application, he decided to open a martial arts studio. This decision ended up changing his whole life. Norris started entering martial arts competitions, but it was hard at first. He lost his first 2 fights to Joe Louis and Alan Stain. Later, he lost 3 times to Tony Tuliners at the International Karate Championships. But by 1967, Norris got way better. He beat skilled fighters like Vic Moore on June 3rd that year. He won the 1967 Tournament of Karate after beating 7 opponents. His final fight was against Skipper Mullins. Later that month, on June 24th, he became champion at S. Henry Cho's All-American Karate Championship at Madison Square Garden. He took the title from Julio Lascelles and beat Joe Louis in the finals. During this time, Norris worked at Northrop Corporation while also growing his chain of karate schools. His official website says he taught several famous celebrity students, including Steve McQueen, Chad McQueen, Bob Barker, Priscilla Presley, Donny Osmond, and Marie Osmond in early 1968. Norris lost for the 10th and final time in his career. It was a surprise loss to Louis Delgado, but on November 24, 1968, he got his revenge and won back against Delgado. By doing this, he became the professional middleweight karate champion, a title he would keep for 6 years in a row. I taught for 15 years. Yeah, I was the world champion, from 68 to 74. Wow. On April 1st, he successfully kept his All-American Karate Championship in a round-robin tournament at the Karate Tournament of Champions of North America. Later that year, he won the All-American Karate Championship for a second time. This was his last tournament before he retired without ever losing again. How did Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris meet? While competing, Norris met Bruce Lee, the man who would change his life. At that time, Lee was getting famous through the TV show The Green Hornet. Norris and Lee became really good friends and also trained and worked together professionally. After they met, Lee left for Hong Kong to work on his movie career. But the legend didn't forget his American friend. He called Norris back in 1972 and offered him a movie role. He wanted Norris to play his opponent in the famous movie The Way of the Dragon. But who exactly was Bruce Lee, the man who changed martial arts forever and left a lasting impact on the world? Who is Bruce Lee? Bruce Lee definitely paved the way for modern MMA and met many martial artists during his acting career. He worked on several famous films before he died too young. But his legacy is still strong today. Born as Lee Junfan on November 27, 1940, in San Francisco, California. Lee is remembered as one of the most influential martial artists and cultural icons of all time, even though he died too young at age 32 on July 20, 1973. His achievements and philosophy left a lasting legacy that still inspires millions of people worldwide. Bruce Lee's journey started in Hong Kong, where his family moved in 1941. As a child actor, he appeared in almost 20 Chinese films, showing his natural charm. Along with acting, he studied dance and trained in the Wing Chun style of Kung Fu, building the foundation for his martial arts skills. In 1959, Lee moved to America and went to the University of Washington, where he started teaching martial arts. His new approach combined traditional techniques with his own philosophy, eventually creating what he called Jeet Kune Do, or the way of thigh-intercepting fist. Lee's first major break into American media was playing Kato, the acrobatic sidekick on the Green Hornet. While his role got attention, Hollywood didn't offer many opportunities for Asian actors. This made Lee return to Hong Kong in the early 1970s. There he quickly became a sensation with action-packed films like The Big Boss and The Way of the Dragon, which he wrote, directed, and starred in. The Way of the Dragon had a fight scene between Lee and martial artist Chuck Norris. Even today, that fight remains one of the most legendary battles ever filmed, the Way of the Dragon fight. Out of all the legendary battles between classic kung fu and martial arts movie icons, few are as famous as the showdown between Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris. Their fight in Way of the Dragon became a cult favorite among martial arts movie fans, mainly because of how amazing both men's legacies are. Their unforgettable fight took place in Way of the Dragon, produced by Golden Harvest. It was Lee's third martial arts film and Chuck Norris's first credited big screen appearance. Even though he had very few lines and only appeared at the end of the movie, Norris got second billing, showing how important his role was in the film. Chuck Norris's character, Colt, is a fighter hired to challenge Bruce Lee's character in a high-stakes one-on-one fight at the Colosseum in Rome. Their almost 10-minute fight, featuring real physical contact in several moments, is widely considered one of the most intense and well-done fight scenes in martial arts movie history. Since Norris played the bad guy, the battle ended with Bruce Lee's character winning. Chuck Norris was often asked in interviews about his relationship with Bruce Lee. The two first met in 1968 at a karate tournament and quickly became friends. For about 2 years, Lee and Norris trained together in Norris's backyard, working on techniques and fitness. According to Norris, while they never had a real fight, some sparring did happen during their training sessions. Despite this, the Walker Texas Ranger star has been careful not to say too much about what happened during these sessions. He insists that their exchanges were never intense enough to be considered a real fight. Norris also said that a fight between them was never something either martial artist wanted while filming Way of the Dragon over the years. Rumors have spread that Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris once had a secret full-contact match in a hallway somewhere. However, based on Norris's own words, this probably never happened. Still, the rumors won't go away, fueled by their on-screen battle in Way of the Dragon and the impressive skills of both fighters. Who would win if Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee got into a fistfight? Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris are the most famous martial artists in history. Both Lee and Norris deeply impacted the martial arts community and inspired many people to pursue their passion for martial arts. Given their influence, comparing these two icons is probably unavoidable, especially since they trained together at one point. This has made many people wonder what would have happened if Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris had fought in their prime. Who would have won and why? Both men were born in 1940 and were on similar career paths until Lee's tragic death in 1973. Bruce Lee's legacy started with making action-packed martial arts popular. As someone who dared to master multiple martial arts styles, he inspired many to go beyond traditional limits and try new methods. This pursuit led to the creation of Jeet Kune Do, a unique and powerful martial arts philosophy. Lee didn't just train his body for strength, he trained his mind and reflexes, making himself one of the fastest and most adaptable fighters of his time. Lee's first public fight happened during his teenage years in Hong Kong, when he entered a Western-style boxing tournament. To prepare, he took lessons in Western boxing to improve his skills. His school held tournaments every year, and in his first year, he shocked everyone by beating the previous champion Gary Elms in the finals. But before learning boxing, Bruce had already trained in Wing Chun Kung Fu under Wang Chunlang, and IP Man Wang helped Bruce adapt his Wing Chun techniques to fit boxing rules. But ultimately, it was Lee's incredible punching speed and unique strikes that confused Gary and threw him off his game. According to people who watched, Elms took a beating like Rocky, refusing to stay down. The fight went on for multiple rounds. But since Elms had been knocked down so many times, Lee had built up enough points towing by decision. Bruce Lee's victory over Gary Elms was the first and last time he participated in a competitive event. But why he never competed again remains a mystery even today. However, outside the ring, Lee was no stranger to real combat. Growing up in Hong Kong, he often got into street fights, which pushed him to start martial arts training at 15. His Wing Chun masters worked to improve his skills for self-improvement. But Lee naturally gravitated toward real-life, no-rules combat. He was more comfortable in unpredictable high-stakes fights than structured competitions for wins and glory. This outlook eventually shaped the philosophy of Jeet Kune Do. Now there's Chuck Norris. After high school, Norris took a different path. He joined the Air Force and was stationed in Korea, where he started studying Tong Soo Do. When he returned to the United States, he worked for Northrop Aviation while teaching karate classes on the side. Within 2 years, he switched to teaching full-time and eventually ran several martial arts schools. Both men were exceptional fighters, each with somewhat different approaches to martial arts. But when it comes to a battle between Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris at their peak, who would have had the upper hand? Many argue that Norris would win since his fighting career lasted about 10 years. Though he lost his first 3 tournaments, he never lost again after that. By 1966, he had won the National Karate Championships and the All-Star Championship. The following year, he claimed titles as the World Middleweight Karate Champion and All-American Karate Champion. In 1968, he became the World Professional Middleweight Karate Champion, and when he retired in 1974, he did so as undefeated Professional Full-Contact Middleweight Champion. Norris is a highly skilled black belt with many martial arts titles to his name. He played a big role in pioneering full-contact karate in the U.S., and later moved into a successful career in action films. Over the years, he has earned black belts in jiu-jitsu, judo, and karate, continuously expanding his expertise. After working with Bruce Lee on a film, Norris was inspired to develop his own action movies, which became hugely popular throughout the 1980s. While some argue Norris would win, others believe Bruce Lee would have beaten Chuck Norris in a fight because of his speed. However, speed alone doesn't determine victory. The fastest runner isn't always the best overall athlete. And in combat sports like PFL, UFC, and MMA, the strongest or fastest fighter doesn't always win. For instance, Chuck Norris fought Joe Louis, one of the greatest karate fighters of all time, 4 times and only lost once. These matches followed competition rules rather than the no-holds-barred style of UFC, but they still showed Norris' technical skill and adaptability. In today's culture, Bruce Lee is often viewed as a nearly mythical figure with superhuman abilities. Meanwhile, Chuck Norris remains respected in martial arts circles, though his image in pop culture has become more of a meme, with exaggerated stories turning him into a figure of jokes. Ironically, while Norris has a much more substantial competitive fighting record, it was Lee who became the global symbol of a kung fu master. To this day, the debate over who would win a hypothetical Bruce Lee versus Chuck Norris match remains unsolved. Many believe that Lee's speed, something Norris himself has often praised, would give him the upper hand. Others argue that Norris's strength and size as a karate champion would allow him to overpower the kung fu legend. While it's clear that Bruce Lee's character won in Way of the Dragon, a real-life fight between Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris at their physical peaks would probably have been a closely contested battle. Each fighter had a unique skill set that could balance out the other. Lee's speed and adaptability versus Norris's strength and karate expertise. To this day, Norris remains mysterious when asked whether they ever fought outside of training or who would have won if they had. As a result, the debate over a hypothetical Bruce Lee versus Chuck Norris showdown continues even decades after their iconic on-screen clash. What has Chuck Norris said about Bruce Lee? Looking back at their careers, few, if any, can match their sheer determination and mastery of martial arts. Bruce Lee was a natural in front of the camera, rising to global fame as the martial arts craze exploded. Meanwhile, Norris's journey to stardom was more gradual, but his breakthrough came after his unforgettable collaboration with Lee in the film. Lee played Tang Lung, a skilled martial artist sent to protect his family's restaurant from local criminals. Chuck Norris played Colt, a fearsome Western fighter recruited by the villains as their last hope against Lee's unstoppable force. Showdown at the Roman Colosseum was a cinematic masterpiece. 10 minutes of raw intensity, where every strike, block, and counterattack was done with precision. For martial arts fans, this wasn't just a fight scene. It was a legendary clash of two real-world masters. At the time, Norris was making his film debut, and seeing a Westerner in such a dominant martial arts role was a thrilling surprise for audiences. Though Bruce Lee's character ultimately won the fight, Norris's performance left a lasting impression. The Way of the Dragon wasn't just a hit, it was a phenomenon. At the time of its release, it became the highest-grossing film in Hong Kong's history, holding that record until another Bruce Lee film beat it the following year. The movie's financial success was staggering considering its modest budget. In a rare resurfaced interview, Chuck Norris himself thought about its impact. That movie cost $145,000 to produce, he remembered. It's grossed over $60 million worldwide. It's amazing, huh? Adjusted for inflation, that number soars past $700 million. A testament to the film's lasting influence and the sheer power of Lee and Norris's names. The fight between Lee and Norris in the Colosseum remains one of the most iconic martial arts battles ever captured on screen. There were no gimmicks, no flying chairs, no wires, no flashy effects, just two real martial artists engaged in a pure test of skill, speed, and strength. It was raw, intense, and brilliantly choreographed. When Lee's character ultimately won, leaving Norris's Colt motionless on the ground, audiences were left in awe. The realism of their duel led many to believe that the two men had an actual rivalry off-screen. The way they fought, the precision, the sheer force behind every movement felt too real to be just another choreographed scene. Fans wondered for years, thinking if their legendary showdown was fueled by personal competition. But in reality, Lee and Norris were friends and training partners. Despite the persistent rumors of a real rivalry, Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris had a strong mutual respect built through years of training together. They sparred on multiple occasions, with Norris often marveling at Lee's unmatched speed and precision. Lee, on the other hand, never shied away from confidence. In one interview, he famously claimed that fighting renowned martial artists like Joe Louis, Mike Stone, and even Chuck Norris felt like fighting children. Yet when Norris spoke about their time together, he had nothing but admiration for Lee. Thinking about The Way of the Dragon, he said, "I enjoyed working with Bruce Lee in the film. It was a lot of fun. The fight scene is considered the classic martial arts fight scene of all time, so it's nice to be involved in a fight scene that everyone loves. That legendary Colosseum battle is still considered one of the finest fight sequences ever filmed, but what makes it even more remarkable is how it was shot. The team didn't have the proper permits to film at the historic site, so Lee had to take matters into his own hands. Literally bribing officials, he managed to buy the crew just 1 hour to capture the epic duel. Every move, every strike had to be precise. There were no second chances. The result? A cinematic masterpiece that still stands as a gold standard. In martial arts choreography, even decades later, no fight scene has quite matched its intensity, authenticity, and raw power. But there's one hidden detail from that legendary fight scene that remained under wraps for years. Chuck Norris himself revealed it in an interview. "There's a scene where I throw Bruce to the ground, and he grabs the hair on my chest and pulls it out. I get a letter from a man who says he and his son have seen The Way of the Dragon 26 times. He asks, 'Did Bruce really pull the hair out of your chest? If he did, you're really a stud.'" That moment, though seemingly small, became one of the many raw and unfiltered details that made the Colosseum fight so iconic. Unlike the choreographed brawls of Hollywood, Bruce Lee's philosophy was to keep it real, blending cinematic spectacle with actual combat techniques. Norris has never shied away from praising Lee, calling him a formidable opponent with a chiseled physique and technique, and adding that his confidence and wit were dazzling, sometimes even debilitating to others. But what truly sets their fight, apart from any other, is how it was filmed under the watchful eyes of bribed guards in a forbidden corner of Rome's Colosseum. What was supposed to be a film for Asian markets became an international sensation, thanks to that breathtaking sequence, shot in long takes the fight. Let audiences absorb every move, every counter, every breath. It was pure poetic combat that could only happen with two masters of their craft pushing each other to create history, legal or otherwise. Chuck Norris's love life. Chuck Norris has led a life as intriguing off-screen as the characters he plays on screen. While much is known about his professional achievements, his personal life, particularly his relationships, isn't as publicized. Chuck Norris's journey with Diane Holchek started in a quintessentially romantic fashion. High school sweethearts. Their story began when Norris was just a junior. The simplicity and innocence of teenage love evolved into a lifelong commitment. When Norris, wearing his Air Force uniform, married Diane in December 1958 in Torrance, California. Their wedding marked the beginning of a union that would face the inevitable highs and lows of life together. Their marriage happened at the same time as Norris's early struggles, long before he became a household name. While stationed in South Korea with the U.S. Air Force, he discovered his passion for martial arts. My throat I could hardly swallow, and he said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do it so hard," but he eventually earned a black belt in Tang-Soo-Do. Upon returning to the U.S., Norris dedicated himself to training and competing in karate tournaments, slowly carving a path toward success. As his martial arts career flourished, so did his family life. Chuck and Diane had two sons, Mike and Eric, who grew up watching their father rise from a disciplined martial artist to an international action star. Despite the growing demands of Norris's career, ranging from opening karate schools to training celebrities and eventually moving into Hollywood, the couple remained strong through the years. However, fame often brings its own challenges. As Norris's stardom skyrocketed with films like Way of the Dragon and The Octagon, as well as his legendary run in Walker, Texas Ranger, the pressures of Hollywood took a toll on their marriage. After 30 years together, Chuck Norris and Diane Holchek divorced in 1988. Though the separation marked the end of a long chapter in Norris's personal life, their time together had shaped much of his early journey. Despite the end of their marriage, Norris Hazelways expressed deep respect for Diane and the family they built. His personal life continued with a new chapter when he married Gina Ocelli in 1998. And the couple later welcomed twins. Gina Ocelli entered Chuck Norris's life as a breath of fresh air, bringing with her a new perspective and love. Unlike the youthful romance that characterized his first marriage, Norris's relationship with Ocelli was that of maturity, mutual respect, and shared values. The actor and martial artist first met Ocelli in 1997 while he was on a dinner date with someone else. But after she played a small part in his show, Walker, Texas Ranger, the next day, he asked her out on a date. A year later, the pair got married, and in 2001, they welcomed a set of twins, son Dakota and daughter Dana Lee. Over the years, they've been inseparable, traveling the world, attending high-profile events, and even starring in commercials together. Gina has been a major force in Norris's life, supporting his philanthropy and co-chairing his nonprofit. In 2021, he took to Facebook to sing her praises, calling her a wonderful wife and mother, and an amazing business owner with incredible multitasking skills. Beyond their personal life, Gina has made her own mark in the entertainment industry. She's appeared on Praise the Lord alongside Norris, had a guest role on the sitcom Yes Dear, and of course was part of Walker, Texas Ranger. Today, she's not only Chuck Norris's biggest supporter, but also stepmother to his 3 children, Mike, Dina, and Eric. Gina Ocelli isn't just the woman by Chuck Norris's side. She's built an impressive career of her own. Starting out as a model, she eventually moved to television, landing a role on Walker, Texas Ranger, and appearing alongside Norris. But actually, normally, though Dave, as you do Miss Very, by a very, okay, you're going to show us on Praise the Lord. In 2004, she even made a guest appearance in the 2003 sitcom Yes Dear, where Norris also starred. Now Ocelli has stepped into the business world as the CEO of Seaforce, a water bottling facility she and Norris founded in 2015, but their impact extends beyond business. They're deeply committed to giving back. Norris originally launched the Kick Drugs Out of America Foundation in 1990, and in 2003, the couple rebranded it as Kickstart Kids. This nonprofit uses karate to empower young people, instilling discipline and character. We've reached more than 100,000 kids, and the breakthroughs that we've seen mean the world to us. They told New Beauty in 2023, their passion for community service hasn't slowed them down. Whether attending events like Wizard World Comic-Con in 2017 or showing up at the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series AAA Texas 500 with famous friends like Dennis Quaid and Jim Morris, Norris and O'Kelly remain a dynamic duo, both in their careers. Chuck Norris and Gina O'Kelly's relationship isn't just about business and philanthropy. They genuinely love spending time together, whether traveling, working out, or just enjoying a quiet moment on their ranch. They make the most of every day. In May 2022, Norris shared a glimpse of their adventures, posting an Instagram photo of the couple in Santa Cruz, California, captioned, "What a wonderful day it was in Santa Cruz with my beautiful wife." It's clear he's smitten. His social media is filled with heartfelt tributes to O'Kelly. For her birthday in August 2022, he posted, "Happy birthday to the most amazing woman that God could have ever blessed me with. Gina, I love you more than words can even describe." And when they celebrated their 23rd wedding anniversary in November 2021, he shared a photo of them embracing, writing, "My love, my life, my best friend, my world. Happy 23rd anniversary to my beautiful wife that God blessed me with when we met 25 years ago. I love you with all my heart." Beyond the romance, they share a commitment to health and wellness. Speaking to New Beauty, the couple explained how they incorporate healthy habits into their daily routine. "We try to weave them throughout our day, things like taking a walk on our ranch, meditation and prayer, and working out together. Healthy aging is one of our shared priorities, so we've developed daily rhythms for nourishing our bodies well and staying active. Of course, even the fittest couples have their guilty pleasures. While they stick to mindful eating, typically avoiding food after 6 p.m. to wake up energized, they sometimes break the rule for a late-night dessert and coffee. That's a non-negotiable staple at the Norris Ranch. Fitness has always been a big part of Norris's life, and he's been a longtime fan of Total Gym, appearing in commercials and infomercials for the brand. O'Kelly even joined him in one, proving once again that they're the ultimate power couple. Whether in fitness, business, or love, which of Chuck Norris's movies is your favorite? Also, if Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee got into a fist fight, who do you think would win? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Also, click on the next video on your screen. You won't want to miss it.